Kurt, this is one of the most exciting times of the year for PBT Extra. We're talking picks. So NBA awards, the season's about to end. Who do you have for regular season MVP?
I have never stressed this much about the award, even in the Westbrook triple-double Harden year, and Kawhi Leonard was in that mix. This year is just so tight. I have Nikola Jokic, just barely, and I have Giannis Antetokounmpo second, Joel Embiid third, and I might flip those two when I eventually cast the ballot. It's so close, but it really made me think, Corey, about how do you constitute MVP? What is MVP to you? And ultimately, the value part comes back to me. It's not just that Jokic put up the numbers; it's that they were without their second and third best player all year long, and they have a record comparable to the Bucks and comparable to the 76ers. And it's just the load he had to carry over the course of the season just puts him over the top for me. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, 47 wins, right? I mean, it's like there are teams who have all these stars and can't do that. And Jokic, his numbers are better somehow than his MVP season. That's a very good pick. It's close. Once again, I think it comes down to, do you want to give Giannis another MVP award? And I think some people are tired of that, the fatigue, which I find to be, astonishing. But I think it's Giannis. I think it's Giannis. I think it's very, very clear in that sense of what he brings to the table. But I mean, another MVP. Yeah, I think this is where fatigue comes in.
I'm curious if voter fatigue sets in, and if he finished just in horse race terms, like, because I'm with you. I relatively early in the process, not relatively early, because again, I think it's really close, and Joel Embiid put up numbers again last night, but I kind of had settled in my mind Embiid in third a while ago and spent a lot of time on Jokic versus Antetokounmpo. Like, it's so close to me. But I'm curious, I think you could be right in a horse race, like political watching sense of this thing. Is he going to end up third? Because there's just a lot of people who want to give it to Embiid. I know Joel Embiid feels like people out there don't like him if they're not voting for him. He was pretty frustrated, and I get it. It's personal for him. But it's not that. Like, I think a lot of people want to vote for him. I love Joel Embiid. I love, everything about him except the way he likes his steaks done. Like, that whole thing about him liking his steaks super well done this week, that bothers me. Your steaks are medium. But aside that, like, there's nothing not to like about Joel Embiid. This is a year with three very worthy candidates, and it's splitting hairs.
Yeah, it's when you look at back-to-back MVPs, because remember, I think it's a very interesting point too. Jokic would be back-to-back. Yeah. Giannis already won back-to-back. And the list of players who've won back-to-back, it's like Tim Duncan, LeBron James. It's like, I mean, some of the names that have done, like Larry Bird, the names who are in the back-to-back category, MVP is incredible. Back-to-back MVP, Michael Jordan. It's like, it's a very, 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 very elite group. And I wonder too, when people think, okay, this season versus NBA legacy and NBA history, like, who do we give it to? Who do we want to vote for? Because like you said, the numbers and what they've done for their teams throughout the season, the signature games as well, each of the signature moments, like, it's all there, So it's kind of like you said, splitting hairs depending on what you're interested in. But for me, give Giannis another MVP. He deserves it. He's the best player in the world.
He absolutely is the best player in the world right now. And I think I've said this before to you. Like, what got me really think about him was that I saw him in person, like, watched them play in what was not a particularly like super highlight Giannis game. And you watch how he controls the flow on both ends, right? Like, his defense, his ability to change the whole game on that end, pushing the ball in transition, how much better he is in the half court. And I think what makes him impossible to stop in the playoffs now, he hits his free throws. You can't just send him to the line anymore. Like, that's not going to work anymore. So I don't know how you stop him in the playoffs. And if you cast your vote for any of those three, I think it's completely fair.
Here's one that is a little it's not as clear cut, and it's not splitting hairs in that sense. Defensive Player of the Year. Where are you going?
This is the hardest one for as much as I have sweat MVP. This one was harder for me because there wasn't a clear favorite. I mean, there was mid-season. It was Draymond Green. Draymond Green was kind of, I don't want to say running away with it, but Draymond Green was in the lead. this year becomes much tougher because Rudy Gobert is still kind of Rudy Gobert, and Giannis Antetokounmpo is still kind of Giannis Antetokounmpo, but their team defenses have slid. And I don't think it's either of their fault directly, because they in Utah, there was a conscious decision to bring in some more offense. They are not as good perimeter defensively on the perimeter right now, and so he's just having to clean up more. The Bucks were without Brook Lopez much of the year, and Giannis had to play more of a shot blocking center role, which has him higher on my list. He'll probably make my final three, but I might be going with Marcus Smart. I might be going with Boston. Had the best defense. He is the head of the snake, but I think Robert, like, that's a team defense. It's kind of like Mikal Bridges with the Suns, who's on my first team all defense. Who do you reward there? Because everybody on that team plays defense. So were we singling one out to reward the team? I'm still struggling with that one.
Yeah, philosophy, right? This is, once again, how do you think about the award? Yeah. What does MVP mean? What does Defensive Player of the Year mean? I got to go with Boston, too. I think it's going to be someone on that Celtics team. For me, it's Robert Williams. And it's interesting because, you know, he with the injury, I wonder how that impacts his voting. But I think what he's meant to that team, and this is the one thing for me, Kurt, when you think about Defensive Player of the Year, like Rudy Gobert is a great example. With Rudy Gobert, without Rudy Gobert, that Utah's Jazz defense, you know, it's like it's drastically different. Like, he is, like you said, the head of the snake. He is that for them, and he affects everything. And for me, Robert Williams to be a focal piece that affects nearly everything for that Boston Celtics team that's sitting second in the Eastern Conference, a highly competitive Eastern Conference. That's impressive. That's impressive. To me, that is worth more than other factors.
Just talking about, again, the voting aspect and the political aspect, I wonder if Smart and Williams cancel each other out a little on voters' ballots. Like, if there's not that, it's easy to vote for, look, Rudy is the best player on the defender on the Jazz, and it's not a question mark. And you can go down the list with some other guys like that. When you get to Boston, it's not that simple, right? It's Smart out top, but they really did take off this year defensively, and frankly, just as a team, that they went on that huge. They've been the best team in basketball since like late January. That started when they put Robert Williams in a better position and started him and started basing their defense a little more around what he does and started switching. Once they fully bought into that, they've been the best team. So, like, yeah, I think that it's a very legitimate case.
Next up, Rookie of the Year, one of the most exciting awards for me, because historically the Rookie of the Years tend to, it's not always, but it's a pretty good indicator of these are the future stars of the league. So who you got?
It was a really tight year, but I have Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley from day one transformed the Cavaliers defense. He's putting out, I think, 14.9 points a game, grabbing 8 boards or whatever the number was, like in that ballpark. He's been fantastic since day one and helped turn like that spark at the start of the season. But it is a lot closer for me than people think. And everybody can think it's Cade Cunningham. No, he's actually third on my ballot. Scottie Barnes in Toronto has been that good. He has been, again, 15-8, playing a huge role defensively for a very dangerous Toronto team. That's he just fits right in with that. Everybody we've got is 6'7" to 6'9" and can switch everything and is freakishly long. Toronto team, like, he fits in beautifully there. He had 19 last night. He just has really blossomed this year, and he's going to be another guy. I don't think a lot of people saw him because I don't know that a lot of people watch Toronto, but he's been that good. Cade Cunningham. Sorry, Piston fans are going to be mad at me over this. I know my Twitter timeline is going to fill up at some point. That said, he might be the best player out of this class in 3 years, but he was injured in training camp. He came out slow. He didn't play well at the start of the year, and it's still Rookie of the Year. And the other two guys were killing it from day one. So, like, that's to me the slight difference.
I think you're right. I think it's Evan Mobley. And it's interesting because the way I think about Rookie of the Year, I think of it two different ways. I think in one sense, you have a franchise type of player who either can sell tickets or turn around franchises, right? And that's kind of a player that, okay, that guy, like a LaMelo Ball, right? Like a John Morant, like a guy you're like, man, like Zion, like this is a guy that we would watch, tie his shoes. We pay $100 to watch him just, do a practice. So like that kind of player, I think that's more important than just stats sometimes, because it is entertainment. It's a showbiz.
Yeah.
And I think the other part is, the dominant. I think being able to be an important factor on a playoff team, if you're not either the best player in the world, just straight up, or if you're not in like Jason Tatum kind of category talent, or if you're not like a LaMelo Ball, like entertainment category talent, then I think being a good player on a playoff bound team, 5, for the Toronto Raptors in the Eastern Conference, 7 for the Cavs. And I mean, that is to me just as good. So I agree, Evan Mobley for me, because that Cavs team, if you told me that they would be in the 7th spot last year, I'd be like, no. There's just no way. So the turnaround plus being a good part. And then I think the last part is I disagree. I don't know if Cade Cunningham will be the best player in this class. I personally think Josh Primo might surprise some people, because I'm telling you, I've been in San Antonio a lot. Obviously, I watch a lot of Spurs games. And this week I've been here in San Antonio. I've watched 3 Spurs games, and I've been just watching Josh Primo, the way he moves. He's 19 years old. So you think about in the NBA rookie contract these years, it is like college. You basically spend 4 or 5 years becoming the player that you need to be. He is a dangerous player at 19. Yeah. And the way he moves and the way that he makes decisions, it's split second. He doesn't hesitate. He moves like Kawhi when he's out on the court. And I mean, I watched a lot of Kawhi when he played in San Antonio. And I just don't see a lot of people move like that. And to be that size and to have the skill set he has and the fearlessness and the no hesitancy, I think he's going to be really good. He's going to surprise a lot of people.
And he's in the right spot, right? Like you're learning from Pop, but also the Spurs have just been one of the great development teams of the last couple of decades. And by the way, if we're going to do that, Josh Giddey in Oklahoma City is another guy who's really impressed me with skill set and what he can do. And there's a lot of growth potential there. There's ways to go for him, but in a few years, like this, Corey, we could be looking back at this in a few years and be talking about how insanely deep the 2021 draft class was.
That would be a great conversation. And I think it's a good thing for sure. Next up, 6th man of the year. Who do you have, Kurt?
It's the Tyler Hero runaway, right? Like this is Tyler Hero. 20 points a game, critical for them, closes games. Actually a big part of what they have to do if they're going to succeed in the playoffs. Tyler Hero becomes a big part of it. They need him to help create half-court offense with Jimmy Butler. That's always a weak spot. But they also need him to defend, because if he's out there, look, he's the weakest link. He's going to get targeted. He's going to have to hold his own in a postseason. But that's down in the regular season, he was phenomenal. He was clutch for them. I thought Kevin Love was in the mix. You can put some other guys in there, but this was a Tyler Hero runaway.
Yeah, I think in recent years, the most interesting comp, you look at what has worked in the past, and San Antonio, look at Manu Ginobili. Right. Yeah. And it's just like this guy who can just make incredible shots late in the game, ready whenever you want, instant offense, change the game. Guy like Andre Iguodala, like a starter off the bench, who becomes, part of that special something, that chemistry, the franchise DNA. And Tyler Hero has become that. And I think when there were injuries on that team, I remember, especially like early in the preseason, just seeing him take on a huge workload. That to me was interesting, because I was like, oh, they're preparing him, And I think that is why I love organizations like the Heat, because they have long-term views. They think, okay, well, how, and also the Warriors, I think they're doing something similar, protecting James Wiseman. But, when they start incorporating him and just in that vision, I love how they did it with Jordan Poole too. But I love how this concept of like, how do you protect somebody and look at their long-term growth? And what they did for Tyler Hero, throwing him out there, letting him get exposure, become like a sensation. They kind of pull him back a little bit, and then give him some of the confidence to run the offense, do that when the stars are out, but then accept his role. A great coaching staff, great organization. I love how he's grown and matured into that. And I think you're right. It's clearly Tyler Hero.
Yeah, this year, this was one of the easier ones on the board.
Next up, most improved.
I think the hardest leap for a player to make is from star to superstar. And so I'm going with John Morant, just beating out Desmond Bane. I could fill out that whole list with Grizzlies, couldn't we? Like everybody on that team seemed to make a leap this year. But I'm going to go with John Morant, who amazingly not only scored more, which, obviously that's part of improved, but more than that, he took on more of the offense and his efficiency went up. And you don't see that much. Normally when you take on more shots and you've got more shot creation and responsibilities, your shooting percentages drop. You're not getting the same quality looks because of the responsibility. He did both, and it's a rare feat. So I have him there, and I have Darius Garland third, but it's a wide open field. In a wide open field, who are you taking?
Yeah, for me, I have to go Jordan Poole because it was interesting to see his growth, and I just want to read you some of his averages. Right, so first year, 8 points, or just a shade under 9, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Next year, 12 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. This year, we're talking 18, 3 and 3, 3, 4. But the fact of the matter is, who's on the team this year, and how good are they? And the answer is, you got Clay back. The answer is the Warriors are very, very good. They're sitting at the 3rd spot in the conference. To do 18, 3 and 4 on that Warriors team when you're playing alongside Steph, Draymond, and Clay, the bones of a dynasty that many people revere, that to me warrants most improved because he understands his role and he just continues every season to elevate his game. And I think that's exactly what the award, in my mind, stands for. Next up is Coach of the Year. Who do you have?
Actually, it's a really deep field. I mean, I know who I'm going with, and I think I'll be surprised. Look, I'm voting for Monty Williams, and I'll be kind of surprised if he doesn't win. But if you are a guy looking for, hey, who surprised me? Who helped turn a franchise around? You get Jenkins in Memphis. You got J.B. Bickerstaff in Cleveland. Like, there are other guys out there who are very deserving. I think Eric Spoelstra has done a tremendous job this year and still is probably the best coach in the game right now. And that said, Monty Williams has built a culture. And that team, I mean, remember at the start of the year, the DeAndre Ayton thing and the contract, and is that going to be a distraction? And Chris Paul has missed time, and everything that could have gone sideways there, they have just played right through like nothing. He has built something there that's just a rock. And I think that's going to carry him really deep into the playoffs too.
Yeah, Kurt, I think it's a really interesting point because my mind went straight to Jenkins and Mims as well. What they've done this year was basically, one of the best stories in my mind of the season, definitely. But the Suns have just been, they just humming and like humming to the point where they're like the best team in the league, and you almost kind of forget about them. And one of the big, at least in my mind, how good are they without Chris Paul? The answer is still very good. Everyone's stepping up around them, and Coach Williams just continues to bring that team to another level. So I'm with you. I think it's Monty.
Yeah, there's other coaches out there, but it's going to be Monty's year, and it's well deserved. You're going to be hard pressed to find somebody more liked around the NBA than Monty Williams.
Finally, Executive of the Year. Who do you have?
This is one, fortunately, the media doesn't have to vote on. Like they vote on this one amongst themselves. That saves me some stress. Normally, though, right, it's the guy who takes the big swing in the offseason and it pays off, right? That wasn't Rob Pelinka. That wasn't Daryl Morey. Yeah, I'm going to go with Arturas Knisevich out of it's a name I struggle to pronounce, but with the Bulls. I think that you talk about the transformation of the Bulls since last year, when basically going back to the All-Star break, but then through this summer, bringing in DeMar DeRozan, getting Alex Caruso, surprising everybody when that team was healthy. There wasn't a lot of depth, but that team was healthy. That was a dangerous team, and they could be dangerous in the playoffs, although unfortunately no Lonzo Ball. But I think that in terms of reshaping a roster quickly and putting a winner where there just hadn't been that kind of energy in a while, it's the Bulls.
Yeah, Karnišovas did a wonderful job there. My mind went there too, but I just for the sake of argument, right? We're going to have a podcast. We're going to talk about this on the show. We have to go for a little bit of counterpoint. I think it has to be Zach Kleiman for the Grizzlies. At times this season, it seemed like it was going to be like the Oscars or something, where Memphis will now take they'll just sweep and get 3 or 4 Academy Awards. That's kind of how I felt about the awards at different parts of the season. But right now, I feel like this one's on lock. As all the awards have kind of they've been siphoned off. But in my mind, this one has to stay with Memphis.